and that would be, I guess, a good problem to have. But at the moment, it looks like their site is not loading. So if you're getting an error message, then I apologize to you. And I think we're getting another link for people to possibly try, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to put that. I'm going to try to put this new link out over Twitter, which is the only way I have to really communicate with the public at this exact moment while I'm on the air. So if you'll just hold on one moment here, I'll do that much, and then perhaps we can actually get some listeners from at least the American side of the Atlantic. So if you'll hold on, I'm going to paste this into Twitter for our listeners, and I'm sorry to put you guys through this at the moment. This is kind of it's kind of crazy. The other thing that American or even I think Europeans can do is try to listen to this show because we are linked up with Dr. Bill Deagle's radio show, and so if you go to his site, the site link that I know for Dr. Bill Deagle is clayandiron.com. If you go there, you would be able to find a link to his, I believe it's GCN, which is his network that broadcasts his radio show. And because we're linked up, you will be able to hear the show that way. Although I believe that we have been dropped off, from there as well. So I'm going to be asking our technicians to redial. It looks like I've got some web help here. Are you there, Dr.
So, carry your comments on these kind of issues, because I'm sure this year is going to be quite a year for news and for projects that you're going to do to unveil and open up this whole issue of not just UFOs, but the fact that mankind's very ancient, and in the words of Michael Cremo, there's been evidence that mankind devolved rather than evolved.
Okay, we are just joining you, Dr. Bill Deagle. Apparently there was some downtime there. We're having some trouble with the website over in the European side, and I just posted a link into the chat here where you'll see an alternate place where people can go. Obviously, they can also be listening to the show using your radio link, which is the GCN on your website. Is that clayandiron.com? Would that be the right link to go to?
Yeah, either one. Nutrimedical, N-U-T-R-I, like nutrition, medical, Nutrimedical, or Clay and Iron. And if they go to the link, they can go to the Listen Live button, or it's on demand. It'll replay it 8 times a day. The program is 3 hours a day. So they can listen either way. Anywhere in the world, too, by the way. It's all free.
Okay, that's great. And can I ask you to repeat? I think you had a question, but we were not on the air with you at that time, so maybe you can repeat what you just were talking about. Well,
the question, I guess, is, as a researcher, you mentioned you weren't a scientist about the pole, magnetic shift, and the other things.
We're updating the link as we speak here because we are having some trouble with the website in Europe. But if you put the link on the website, I've got my webmaster who is also putting a link in there, but you'll see a Twitter link that I've just sent through that'll show up there, and you can click that and get in. You should be able to listen that way. Or go to Bill Deagle's website. As we say, we're linked up with 2 radio shows here simultaneously.
It's kind of fun, but it's a little bit of juggling. The question was, of course, with all your research that you've been doing over the last few years, the evidence is, Professor Grupp says, is that the governments of the world know about a number of galactic and cosmic and geopolitical events. They have suppressed technology and even our ancient history, that we've had nuclear wars and other disasters, that our civilization has been involved with advanced technology like the Dark Knight satellite that's in polar orbit out about 22,000 miles inside the Van Allen radiation belt, that we do have evidence that we've been to the moon in ancient times, that in fact mankind is far more ancient than we want to believe, and that we have had interactions with advanced civilizations right down through the history of our, quote, even more modern times, going back, say, 6,000 years, which is recorded in every religious and historical book of ancient origin. The problem is, without understanding these, which is why I think what you're doing is so essential, without looking at these, we're not going to resolve these divisions between the global elite that have got their plans is the suppression of technology and the very nature of what's happening to our world. We're not preparing the population.
Well, yeah, and that's what we're all about. We're trying to educate people as quickly as possible, and there is something of a deadline to this information getting out there. We are trying to change consciousness, and the way you do that is when you become more awake and aware, you actually affect your own DNA, and that's a key to the planet going through ascension, and so that's really the mission that we're on. And what you need to do at your end, the listener, is to basically discern what resonates, what feels true, and what does not, and also use, obviously, your analytical abilities, tap into information everywhere you can find it, and do your studying, and basically gain all knowledge, as George Green would say. So that's what I would say in regard to the geophysical changes that are probably going to come, regardless of whether they are man-made. And I guess you could say ultimately everything in the universe is man-made, simply because we are all one. And when I say man, I'm talking about the multiverse on many, many levels. And from what I understand, we are so multidimensional that there are so many realities also going on simultaneously that if you really knew the power that you have as an individual, it would really blow your mind. So yeah. I think that's really a crucial angle to take. And then you've got two kind of approaches. One, you've got the military approach, the sort of mindset that is more reductionist and basically will do things like dig underground bases and want to tunnel under to protect themselves and sees the things coming, using technology to see the future, like Looking Glass, which we've talked a lot about on the Project Camelot website. And you can investigate that. Just put Looking Glass into the search. And you can also look into our library and see a lot of videos in which we're covering this. We talk about this with Dan Biersch, of course, and Henry Deacon and others, in which they're using what is basically technology based on cylinder seals that came from the Sumerians to look into the future and then preparing for that future in a sort of a military industrial kind of mindset. And then there is the consciousness approach that is actually a much more positive, less of a service to self orientation. And that approach is what we're all about.
Yeah, in fact, I think that's where the actual where the beef is. In other words, where you're going to get the solution. The idea of hunkering down a segment of society and preserving artwork and books, which is the current pattern of the elite corporatist globalists, is not really a solution. We have to reach out and connect with not only, if you want to call it, higher spiritual self, the Creator God, also to advanced civilizations that do have a positive attitude and positive, how can I say this, interaction with our world. There's also, we have to be aware that there are negative civilizations and beings out there that don't have our best interests in mind. And if we're not aware of this oppositional dialectic of light and darkness, then we're going to possibly make wrong decisions. And they have had, there's good deal of evidence that this has gone on right through the entire history of mankind. So we're in a period of flux whether we're going to become an advanced civilization fit to contact even more advanced civilizations than ours, to get out of the crib of civilization and to start leaping across the stars and reach the singularity of knowledge and technology, extend human lifespan, etc., or to decay into another collapse, which is probably, as many of the civilization experts like Michio Kaku have stated, it's not just dealing with energy technology, it's dealing with consciousness, it's dealing with being able to supersede and transcend your technology so it becomes a servant, not a master.
That's true. Yeah, Dr. Deagle, I'd love to hear from your guest there. Dr.
Yeah, I'd like Jeff jump in and give some comments, please.
Well, yeah, the whole idea of hunkering down is just an inability to understand how powerful our consciousness is. Like Carrie was saying, we have all this power within us, and we can control reality in any way that we really want to if we just knew this pretty much, unfortunately, clandestine power that we have in us, which all the ancient religions have told us about, but we have completely forgotten.